They had to do it. They just had to do it. They just had to announce Wolverine, huh? Now, instead of waiting until Friday or Saturday, where I would probably be more rested and energized, I have to do this tonight. Ladies and gentlefolk, my name is Frenegades, and welcome back to another video game review. Today we're going to be reviewing Spider-Man 2. Spider-Man 2 is a video game that came out. It was developed by Insomniac. It came out in 2023 for the PlayStation 5 and eventually for Steam. Let me turn off this PS5 real quick. And it is the follow-up to Spider-Man Miles Morales, the second mainline game into the Spider-Man series for Insomniac. And with the announcement of Wolverine, yeah, I kind of got to do this. So yeah. Basically, the story follows with the New York having two Spider-Men, obviously being Peter Parker, Miles Morales. Miles has been able to get adjusted to his powers. Miles is getting into college, and he's trying to write a college essay that he needs help with. Now, that is kind of like the Miles Morales part of the story, like, their personal lives. Peter's whole thing is him dealing with his friend Harry Osborn, who finally makes his first appearance into the game, where he is healed from being sick. As you see at the end of the first game, there was a teaser about Harry being in this like chamber, this oxygen chamber, like how Goku was back in, I think, Dragon Ball Z, or was it G? No, it definitely wasn't GT. It had to be Dragon Ball Z. But anyways, so yeah, Harry has this alien black goo, which turns out to be the symbiote, which heals him from his sickness. I'm assuming it was cancer. Look, I don't really know. I don't really care what it was, if I'm just being completely honest. I like Harry with this. I do like how Insomniac took a risk, not only with having two Spider-Men, because typically when Miles Morales is introduced, Peter Parker ends up dying. They did it in the Ultimate Comics. They did it in Ultimate Spider-Man with the Spider-Verse stuff, where they introduced Miles Morales in that. They did it in Into the Spider-Verse. And they, so obviously it's a real good change to see that there's two Spider-Man instead of Miles being Spider-Man and then Peter ends up dying or retiring or something like that. So yeah, Peter mentors Miles, so they're both Spider-Man. The game comes with a great amount of a pretty good amount of villains. It comes with Kraven the Hunter, who is the first main villain, Venom, who is the second main villain. It also comes with Sandman, who has a side mission throughout the whole story after his boss fight, which the game starts with a Sandman boss fight. So yeah, it features Scorpion. I know when I was reviewing the first game, I was confused as to where Scorpion was, if he was in the first game, and I don't know how. I don't remember Scorpion being in the first game, but he actually is in the second game as well. Let me see, who else? Vulture kind of makes an appearance. I'll explain. And Electro also kind of makes an appearance. Rhino makes a cameo, as well as Otto Octavius. He makes a cameo. Mysterio is mildly in the game. Is there anyone else that is in the game? I don't think so. I don't remember. If there is, let me. Oh, Cletus Cassidy, the Carnage symbiote. So yeah, but anyways, the whole story. Let me just summarize it. Kraven, he's a big time hunter, finding someone to kill him because he does not want to die of his sickness, which I'm just gonna assume is cancer. So yeah, he's hunting. He goes to New York and he ends up hunting the villains of Spider-Man down. Oh, Black Cat is in the game as well. So yeah, and Mr. Negative as well. I don't know how I'm forgetting about them, but yeah. So yeah, so some of the characters that he hunts down, actually he hunts down all the villains, and the successes that he's had in hunting them, he ends up killing Vulture, Scorpion, and Electro. He ends up hunting but not killing Mr. Negative, Venom, which ends up killing him, Black Cat because she escapes, Mr. Negative escapes as well. Who else? Sandman kind of escapes. Yeah, Sandman kind of escapes. Otto is not hunted, And Rhino is not hunted either. Rhino doesn't make a physical appearance in the game. He appears in this segment of where Miles and Mr. Negative are going into Peter's mind, but I'll kind of explain where that is. So yeah. But anyways, so yeah, that's going on, and then with Harry, he the symbiote that he has that I mentioned ends up giving him like kind of powers, and he becomes, well, he's an unnamed hero, so they just call him Harry, but he's kind of like a new Spider-Man. You know, people call him Agent Venom because that's where his design mostly looks like. So yeah, like the Flash Thompson version of Venom. That's, I was about to say Eddie Brock, but no, Flash Thompson Venom. So yeah, and at one point, Craven almost kills Spider-Man, but Harry ends up transmitting, or the symbiote ends up getting off of Harry and going to Spider-Man, which gives him the black suit. Which throughout the story, it goes on to corrupt him more and makes him way more aggressive, way more brutal, and almost willing to kill. It gets to a point where Peter, is almost getting ready to kill Craven when he finds him, because Craven ends up kidnapping Miles and trying to get him killed in a fight to the death with Mr. Negative. Miles ends up saving Mr. Negative and, throwing him out of the area that they're in. I don't know, the fighting Coliseum thing, I guess. And so, yeah, Mr. Negative ends up calling Peter. Peter goes, looks for Miles, and that's where all that happens. There's even a point where Miles and Peter actually have a fight against each other, where you're playing as Miles and Peter is the boss fight. And I'll say the boss fights in this game are hard, really hard. Especially a low point of this game, I'll have to say, is Wraith. Yuri Watanabe makes her return after the events of the first game, where she ends up going on a hunt for Hammerhead, because she ends up killing him, but he ends up getting revived, and she basically goes rogue after the events of the DLCs. So she comes back as a vigilante named Wraith, and she's on a hunt for this guy named Cletus Cassidy, who is running a cult called the Flame, which they're basically trying to make a terroristic attack on Brooklyn, called the Crimson Hour. Peter is trying to stop Yuri from killing the Flame, which Cletus is known as. So yeah, and it leads to a boss fight, a very unnecessarily difficult boss fight, I might add. Like, if you watched my streams, you'll see that I struggled with it. I had to go off camera and beat her. So yeah, it even got to a point where I had to lower the difficulty from ultimate to spectacular, because ultimate is the hardest difficulty, spectacular is a difficulty below it. But yeah, the boss fight is, yeah, as I said, really difficult. So yeah, I don't know if Yuri is a villain or not. I think she's more of an anti-hero, but yeah, whatever. So yeah, I forgot where I was going on with this before I started talking about the Flame. Oh yeah, right, the boss fights, yeah. Craven's boss fights are really hard, but not like excruciatingly hard, depending on who you're playing as. Like, when you're playing as Peter, the boss fight isn't as hard. It is definitely really difficult, but it's not as hard as to when you eventually go on to play as Venom in the game. Because after the boss fight, Peter ends up taking off, after the boss fight between Miles and Peter, Peter ends up taking off the suit, containing it, and bringing it to Dr. Kurt Connors, who I forgot to mention. The Lizard is in this game, and he is also being hunted by Craven, but he ends up escaping with his life as well. So yeah, so he brings it to Dr. Connors. Harry ends up ends up making his way to where Dr. Connors is. He ends up breaking the container and getting the symbiote back, but this time he's becoming the full villain Venom, because he wants to heal the world, and he feels like the symbiote might heal him. The whole heal the world thing is part of Harry and Peter's story, their personal lives, because Harry ends up getting Peter a career with this foundation called the Emily Foundation, where they're supposed to heal the world with, honestly, I don't know how they're supposed to heal the world, if I'm being completely honest with you. Well, I mean, there were some things like the whole, I forgot what it was. There was like one thing where they're trying to save bees, right? Bees, other stuff like that, and it kind of the first game even kind of hints to that because there were the side missions where you I forgot what they were called, but there were some side missions that where you would see these science labs on these roofs, and Harry would ask Peter to just deal with them. So it does kind of hint towards that, and I do like that. I really do like that. Um, so yeah, he ends up getting the symbiote back, and you end up playing as Venom for a little bit, leading to the boss fight with Craven, with Venom versus Craven, which will lead into Craven getting his head eaten off. Yeah, it was intense, super intense. So yeah, after that, Peter and Miles and Mary Jane. I forgot to mention her. She has her own sections. She has a section that is pretty difficult where she's trying to find Doctor Connors after he isn't getting kidnapped by Craven and his hunters. So yeah, I will say that Mary Jane is definitely more formidable, but it is a little weird. Like I get why she's a little more formidable, because she ends up getting trained by Silver Sable during the events of Miles Morales, I think. So she's obviously a little more combat savvy. But she has this taser. She has the taser that adds webs to it, and then eventually sonic burst. We just really weird because like all the hunters and the symbiotes that she ends up fighting, right? They go down to like one or two, maybe even three hits. Like the hunters, they go down in one taser hit. But this like Spider Man, both of the Spider Men have to hit them a bunch of times to even knock them out. But all right, it is whatever. They turn Mary Jane into Mary Croft, I guess. So yeah, but yeah, it's pretty good. So as part of Miles' whole thing, Miles doesn't have that much of a story, at least to my knowledge. Aside from him, now Miles does have a storyline, a short story about him forgiving Mister Negative because if you know, in the beginning of the first game, well, in the events of the first game, Mister Negative staged a terrorist attack on City Hall while Norman Osborn was supposed to give a speech and award Miles's father, Jefferson Davis, a medal, to which he ended up having one of his demons have be a suicide bomber, to which Jefferson sacrificed his life to save those. So Miles does have that storyline, and he ends up not forgiving him, but at the same time forgiving him because he's like, I won't forgive you for what you did, but I can't hold this hate for you anymore. It's like, dude, to forgive somebody is to let go of that anger and let go of that hatred that you have for them. So it's like, really, do you know what forgiveness is, Miles? All right. So yeah, the game ends with Venom being taken down by Peter. Well, actually no. Peter has a boss fight with Venom, and then it leads to Venom beating the absolute hell out of Peter, and then it leads to Miles saving Peter and defeating Venom. So yeah, I guess I should also mention like how Venom was the villain for real. Venom has this meteorite that makes him more powerful because that's where the symbiote came from, and he ends up taking over New York and making people into symbiotes. So with this whole plan, Peter was supposed to distract Venom while Mary Jane and Miles ended up getting the meteorite, which leads into like Venom finding out, him beating Peter up, and basically growing wings, growing these huge like red and black demon bat wings, and it's really insane. So yeah, Miles ends up defeating him and destroying the meteorite, and Harry ends up getting the suit taken off of him. Harry ends up dying, but Miles, with his bioelectricity, ends up bringing him back to life, but he's real faint. Norman Osborn is pissed off at the Spider-Man, and he, at the end of the game, he ends up, establishing a plan B, which is called the G Serum, which is going to lead into Spider-Man 3, I'm assuming, with probably Harry being the Green Goblin. Because a lot of people talk about Norman being the Green Goblin, but it's like, I don't think I've ever seen anybody suggest that Harry might just be it, considering, the G serum and all that good stuff. But yeah, post credit scene, Norman goes to the raft and meets with Otto Octavius and asks him about the Spider-Man's real identities. So yeah. Um I also have to mention some other stuff like the cosmetics. Now, Peter's cosmetics are fine. They're pretty good. Miles's cosmetics are not. Well, I mean, they're mostly recycled from his game, so that's completely fine. But the other stuff that's like completely new, like the 10th anniversary suit and the new suit that he gets at the end. Nah, that ain't it. Also, I don't know how I forgot to mention, but Miles and Mr. Negative, I forgot to mention from earlier. During one of these points before the boss fight with Venom, the final boss fight, Peter ends up getting the anti-venom on him because, what is it? After he got the symbiote off, Dr. Connor says that Peter's been bonded with the symbiote too long and he still got some symbiote in his cells. So Peter ends up getting ambushed by some symbiotes later on. Miles and Mr. Negative end up working together to get into Peter's subconscious, which is where they looking into his pain and stuff like that. And this is where Rhino and Octavius make their cameos, especially Rhino, because Rhino, as I said, doesn't physically appear in the game. Apparently, Rhino was supposed to die. Apparently, Rhino was supposed to die in this game because there was this cut room where Rhino's head was mounted on the wall, but they just decided to remove that. So I'm just gonna be hopeful that Rhino is still alive because I do like Rhino. Rhino is a pretty simple villain with simple motivations. So yeah, but anyways, Mr. Negative ends up using his powers to basically cure Peter, and he ends up getting the anti-venom suit, which he gets. He's basically Spider Blade, I guess. Spider Blade, where he gets all the Venom's powers, strengths, but not any of its weaknesses. So yeah, that's how he's able to defeat Venom and all that. How he's able to fight Venom and all that good stuff. I forgot to mention that. So yeah, Peter has some additions to his suits, like the symbiotes. He has like five symbiote suits. He has the symbiote suit he has the symbiote suit that he uses in the game. The three symbiote suits that he uses in the games, including the anti-venom suit. He also has a classic one from like the comics, and he also has the Sam Raimi symbiote suit from Spider-Man 3, which came out in 2007. So yeah, one thing I like about the cosmetics, is that they added like not shaders. I forgot what they're called. I think that might be shaders, color palettes. Where you switch where most costumes you can switch. You can select out of 4 different color palettes, and sometimes the suits look better. Sometimes the suits look worse, especially on Miles, as I've stated. Like Miles has some pretty awful suits in this game. Not excusing Peter though, because I'm not a fan of the noir suit that they have in here from the Into the Spider-Verse. I'm not a big fan of it, but it's kind of weird that they didn't have, the regular Spider-Man, the classic Spider-Man's costume from Into the Spider-Verse at first. They had to add that in as an update. So yeah, cosmetics are mixed for me, especially on Miles. Miles, I don't really like his suits, but Peter's are fine. I like the default designs that they have on here. These are 2 upgraded suits on here. So yeah, the gameplay though, I will say this: it's definitely the best, especially when you turn swing assist off. Oh my, that is beautiful. The lack of gadgets though, it is pretty noticeable. You only get 4 gadgets, but to make up for that, you get 4 abilities. Peter's first abilities are with the spider arms, like the whole Iron Spider thing. So he has powers involving that, and then he also has the symbiote powers from when he does have the symbiotes on him, or the anti-venom suit. Miles has his bioelectricity, but he also gets a second set of those abilities after his powers were enhanced by Mr. Negative's energy. So Yeah, it's a lot to talk about because when I do my reviews, I'm doing them off the top of my head. Like I'm doing this off of straight memory, no script or anything like that at all. I tried doing a script, but I sound too robotic. So yeah, this is me just going off of what I remember. So if I forget anything, let me know. All right, but Spider-Man 2. I will say this too. One issue I have with this game as well is that it's pretty short. It's pretty short. Like the first game, like with the DLC, like the first game came up with 3 DLCs that you could complete in like an hour and a half, maybe 2 hours. This game doesn't come with any DLCs aside from these flying fresh suits that were designed by kids that you had to pay for, and like I know they were planning for DLC and Insomniac got their information leaked, and that's real sad because like not even just because we didn't get any DLC, but because all these people got their information leaked, like their addresses and all that bad stuff. So obviously with that, Insomniac was not worried about the DLCs anymore. So yeah, I am excited for the Wolverine game. I might do a reaction to the gameplay that they announced. I might not. So yeah, Spider-Man 2, pretty good game. Nothing amazing. But it's serviceable for what it is. A lot of people hate it. A lot of people love it. I'm more in the middle. This game, I'll give it a 7.5 out of 10. It could be an 8 if Miles' suits were better. Oh, yeah, that's how petty I am about those suits. But anyways, I'm going to see y'all tomorrow for Throwback Thursday. Have a blessed day. Jesus loves you. Goodbye. I guess I'm going to do the reaction now. Okay. Oh, it's going to be rated M. Hold on, right off the bat, I gotta change the freaking. Damn, this is the this is the best quality. All right, whatever. Okay, hold on.
Been fighting longer than I can remember.
Damn! Right off the bat? Hold on, this kind of looking crazy.
I'd like to say I'm not a violent man. The trouble just has a way of finding me.
Damn! You see that? Hold on, let me move back. I know I'm on PS5 right now.
I'd like to say I'm not a violent man.
Just look at this.
The trouble just has a way of finding me.
That's crazy work right there. That is insane right there.
But I'd be lying. Doesn't matter where I go.
Damn!
How far
Damn! You see the way the thing was like. Look at that. You ain't have to do it like that.
How far I run.
Damn!
Death's always waiting. Just not for me.
Damn! Oh, Mystique!
Cause I ain't no hero. I'm Wolverine.
Oh yeah, Sentinel 2. Fall 2026. Oh yeah. Lord willing, I'm copying this, playing this on the channel. 100%. I'm 100% playing this on the channel. But yeah, that was the Spider-Man 2 review. 7.5 out of 10. Wolverine coming out fall 2026. I'll see y'all tomorrow for Throwback Thursday. Jesus loves you. Goodbye. Ow, something freaking pinched me.